Hi everyone, it's Jennifer from Fiberflux. In this video, I will show you how to knit the Annabelle Lace Headband. This is a beautiful lacy headband that is made with very bulky yarn in a chunky lace sequence that is only 2 rows. And it's an easy project for beginners. And for this project, you'll need 1 skein of super bulky yarn. I used the Lion Brand Hometown USA. This is called Seattle Mist. However, you can use any super bulky yarn that you like. I also used some US 15 10 millimeter knitting needles. And you'll also need a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle. This headband is knitted this way, and then we've seamed it. So you'll need a tapestry needle to seam and weave in the ends. And I like to keep a tape measure so I can keep track of how long my project is getting as I'm working. That's an option. You can use a ruler, you can eye it up, or you can try it on as you go along as well. So let's get started. The headband has a circumference of 16 inches and a height of 7 inches. We're going to begin by casting on 16 stitches. I am going to use the long tail cast on. If you have a preferred way of casting on, there's lots of different ways. Feel free to use your preferred method. I wanted to also mention we're going to use the excess of our tail to also seam in so we don't have to cut a new piece of yarn. So make sure you leave yourself a little bit extra for the seam. I left myself a whole lot of extra just to make sure. So go ahead and put a slip knot on your needle. And we're going to cast on 16 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, kind of push these back if you need to, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So we have 16 stitches. You want to do this fairly loosely. If you're having trouble with your cast on being too tight, just switch to a little bit of a larger needle for casting on, and then you can go back to the 15s for the remainder of your project. We're going to begin with row 1 of our headband. We'll start by knitting 1 stitch. Next, we're going to yarn over. To yarn over, simply wrap the yarn around the needle on the right. Then we're going to knit 2 together. We're going to insert the needle into the 2 stitches that we come across next. So insert the needle and knit it as you normally would, just like that. And then we're going to continue this sequence across the whole row till we get to the last stitch. So yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together. And sometimes this very first row or 2 that you work when you're beginning a knit project will be a little tight, but that's okay. It'll kind of loosen up as it starts to grow from the needles. You just kind of straighten it out. So yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together. So we've come to the very last stitch, and we're just going to knit that stitch. So row 1 is complete. Let's begin row 2. We're going to flip our work over. And then on this row, row 2, we're going to purl 1, just like that. Then on this row, we're going to yarn over the same way and then purl 2 together. And we're going to continue doing this till we get to the very last stitch. Yarn over, purl 2 together. 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 Yarn over, let's straighten this out a little, there we go. Purl 2 together. And now we're at the very last stitch. So we'll just purl that last stitch. Set our needle down for a moment. And row 2 is complete. I wanted to mention also, row 1 is the right side of your work. Row 2 is the wrong side of your work. So when you finish row 2, the wrong side will be facing. So then you can just keep going and work rows 1 and 2. So you'll just work rows 1 and 2, and I worked mine until it was about 16 inches long, because that will give me a comfortable circumference with just a little stretch to keep it snug to the head. However, you can work more or less rows if you're making this for a younger person, or if you need it to be a little bit bigger. It's totally up to you. Just simply keep repeating rows 1 and 2 until it's as long as you want it to be. So to finish our Annabelle Lace headband, we're going to just bind off. And how you'll do that is to knit 1 stitch, knit the next stitch. So you'll have 2 stitches, and then you'll just simply lift the first one you knit up and over the other one. Knit another stitch, lift it up and over. We're just going to do this all the way across until we finish. Up and over. Knit a stitch, lift it up and over. This is a basic bind off. There are other ways to bind off. This is a very easy and basic way. So just lifting up and over. You have a couple more stitches left to go. Lift it up and over. Knit a stitch, lift it up and over. Knit a stitch, lift it up and over, knit a stitch, up and over. So you can see our progress. It's emerging from the needles. So we're almost done. Knit a stitch, lift it up and over, knit a stitch, lift it up and over, knit a stitch, lift it up and over, knit a stitch, up and over, and then our last stitch, and up and over. We can put this needle down. We have 1 stitch left. What you'll want to do is break your yarn, and then what I do is just pass it through this hole. Go ahead and tighten. You can kind of straighten this out once you're finished, okay? So when we began our cast on, we gave ourselves a long tail. That's how we're going to bring this together and seam it, okay? So we have our right side facing us. Let's go ahead and flip it over. We're gonna grab our tapestry needle. Go ahead and thread your tapestry needle. Then, this is again, the wrong side is facing us. Just fold it in half. And our tail is on the right side of our work. We have this tail, we're gonna weave that in just a moment. Okay, so just hold the edges nice and neat, and we're going to whip stitch this together. Basically, a whip stitch is just a spiral that goes through and sandwiches your edges together, and it makes a nice little seam, and it's super easy. So go ahead and begin at the corner. We're just seaming this together with the whip stitch. See how it's creating like a little spiral, a little tube through our work. You want to go and make sure you go in both layers. And you'll want your finished work to be nice and neat. You want to take your time on this part because you just spent all this time working on this beautiful lace headband. So you'll want to make sure that you get the edges and the seam nice and neat. I'm going to continue with my whip stitch all the way across, and we'll rejoin in just a moment when we get to the end. So we're coming up to the edge here. And again, we've worked the whip stitch all the way across to seam the two ends together. And we're just coming right up to the end. Make sure I like to come down just a tiny bit on that side so it doesn't look like split like this. It looks like a continuous line, okay? So we've come up to our other tail, and what you can do is just tie them together. Again, you'll want your finished work to be nice and neat. I tend to over knot. You can tie less knots if you think that looks prettier. I am afraid of things coming apart. I tend to over knot, but that's just me. So let's just thread our tapestry needle, and we have two ends here. We're just going to weave them in. I'm going to go along the seam. Lace can be a little tricky to weave the ends in because sometimes it shows because it's very holey and open. So your best bet would be to just kind of go along this seam that you just did. That'll keep it a little bit more hidden. So come up in one direction, come back in the other direction. You can cut your tail and then just repeat for the other tail. Thread your tapestry needle and do the same exact thing. Just come up. It's a little snug on our seam, but snug is good. That means it'll stay put. There we go. So come in one direction, same way, come in the other direction. There we go. Then we'll take our scissors and we'll just snip that right off. Okay, so we're all finished. Let's get our seam and our ends nice and straightened out. So there we go. So let's flip it to the right side. It looks very pretty and ready to be worn. And you can see a little bit of the seam, but it still looks very nice and neat. We took our time. We did a great job. You'll wear that at the back of your head. So our Annabelle Lace Headband is complete. Looks very textured. It's soft. It's open. Looks very luxurious. So that is how you knit the Annabelle Lace Headband. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the red subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.